Hey everybody, welcome to Will and Drew's Gaming Retrospective. You are listening to episode 14 for the week of February 17th, 2019. I'm your host, Drew, and I am joined by, man, he's a lucky roller, Will. What's going on, dude? Long time no see.
What is happening, Drew?
It has been an eternity since we last sat down to record.
Oh my gosh, has it? It's just, like I said, I had to dust off the mic, man. Literally.
Yeah, me too. You know, I have a very small desk that I'm working with, and I had the mic put away in a drawer, trying to save space, keep things nice and clean looking. I had my mic stand put away in the corner, and it's not for a lack of desire to record. We've been pretty busy.
We have. We did some traveling for business. You went to Florida. I went to Vegas. It was a good time.
Well, I want to talk about our trips a little bit so everybody can kind of get caught up with us. I got a little bit of business I got to take care of real quick first. So let me get that out of the way and we'll dive right in. First of all, everybody, thank you for downloading the show. Be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, or just do a quick search in your favorite podcast app. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at WDGRPodcast. That's at WDGRPodcast. We post on a regular basis all kinds of craziness. If somebody wants to reach out to you and follow you on social media, how can they find you?
Will_gear.
And you can follow me at ScionStorm. And before we get into what's been going on in our lives, let's hit up that mailbag real quick. We have a Discord room, a great community of people, and threw out to the crowd what's everybody been playing lately. And let's dive right in here. Let's see here. I can never pronounce his name. Puxor?
Yeah, I don't know how. I just look at it and I'm like, Pux, Pukes, I don't know.
I'm sure he'll correct me, and I hope he does. He says everybody's been playing Apex, right? Apex Legends. He says it's awesome. He's also started up Blossom Tales again and Wargroove. I'm not familiar with Wargroove or Blossom Tales, but Apex Legends is something that's kind of came out of nowhere, man. Have you heard about it?
I've heard about it. Like, what is this game?
It's basically the Titanfall universe, but in a battle royale kind of format. It sounds like it's a team-based game. I have not had an opportunity to play it myself.
Yeah, me neither.
But it looks fun. It looks fast, and it sounds like it's gaining some popularity. So it's something I want to check out. You know, it's a free game. You can't really beat free.
No.
I know Vortex has been playing Apex Legends as well too. He says it's fun, but it's only fun with friends. His main game right now is Tetris 99. Have you heard about that?
I saw you guys speaking about that, and I really don't know anything about that either. Is that kind of like the competitor for Tetris Effect?
It's in the same vein, but a little bit different. It's free as well, but it's basically a battle royale game done Tetris style.
Wow, everything is battle royale now.
Yeah, it's a little, I don't know. It's not, I mean, like, I think if I'm going to do a battle royale, I think Tetris is probably the closest thing to the type of one I would want to do. It's more my speed, but...
Sure.
I'm just not in a battle royale mood, ever.
Yeah, I am with you, man. Like, I just, I played a little bit of PUBG with Vic and Damien, like, quite some time ago, and I think the concept, seems to be good, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm really that kind of gamer.
It just seems like it's the only place that like game companies are going right now is like if they don't know what to make, they make a battle royale game.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, he says he's been playing that, and he's going to be playing it for a while. He was mad that there was no good Tetris game on another system after Tetris Effect. Tetris Effect being PlayStation exclusive, but he seems pretty happy with this. And of course, he's playing PUBG, Rocket League. Rocket League's getting cross-party play pretty soon, which is pretty cool too. So
cool.
And Superbus chimed in about Wargroove, says Wargroove is great. It's like somebody took Advanced Wars and Fire Emblem and put them all in a blender and then allowed custom maps. Advanced Wars is definitely something I enjoy. I don't really have much experience with Fire Emblem, but I might have to check Wargroove out. I'm not familiar with it. So
yeah, me neither. I mean, Fire Emblem I know has been like a big DS game, right? Or like it's very much a Nintendo handheld kind of experience at this point.
Well, I believe they came out with a mobile version, some kind of strategy version of the game maybe 2 years ago, I want to say.
Okay.
And it's pretty popular. I gave it a try, and it was reminding me a lot of like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yep.
But I didn't really stick with it. So.
Yeah, I feel like I had, I definitely had a Fire Emblem game. It was one for the 3DS.
Yeah.
And I think it was like called Something Awakening. I'm not entirely sure, but it was supposed to be like one of the better RPGs out there. Yeah. And I just couldn't get into it, man. I couldn't really get into the 3DS, at all. So that was a short-lived handheld for me.
I struggle with handheld gaming in general.
I'm glad I'm not the only one out there.
I love the idea of having a system that I can bring with me on the go, and I have a 3DS, I have a DS, Game Boy Advance, and I played a lot of them years ago, pretty consistently. Even the Vita and the PlayStation Portable, big fan of those. But I don't know, like now that I'm older, I think I prefer to have my gaming on a sofa or in a really comfortable computer chair.
Exactly. I'm the same way, man. I feel like I have a really weird stigma or hang up with handheld gaming. It's almost like porn. Like I'd rather do my gaming in private.
Yeah.
I don't want to game on a plane, like when I brought my Switch, like I didn't even fucking break it out once. Not even once.
Yeah. Yeah, me neither. I brought my 3DS with me on my trip and it stayed in my bag the whole time.
I just couldn't be bothered. Like I felt like it was too much work to break it out, plug the headset in, load up a game, have people like look at me and like, judge me for playing some like, naked witch. I didn't feel comfortable.
Well, it kind of makes me wonder if like that's just a stigma that we put on ourselves as 30-something-year-old gamers.
I think so.
Like I grew up in an age where being a video game fan was kind of looked down on.
Yeah.
And it's not anymore. Not nearly as bad as it was anyway.
Right.
But
we're kind of like the Gen X gamers.
Yeah. It's a tough feeling to shake, and it's like even if I'm wearing like a gaming shirt in public, like it has to be something that's subtle. I don't like wearing stuff that's like overtly like it's a video game.
Right, right. Get that guy in the back that's just like, fucking gamer.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I think that we're still worried about that subconsciously, perhaps.
Kind of. I struggled to fit in when I was in school.
Well, hey, I'm with you, man. Like, I don't know if I could really wear certain, like, gaming merchandise, like, in certain atmospheres and settings. Going to the gym or being at home or being with you guys, like, I'll wear a fucking... Ken Masters Street Fighter t-shirt all day long.
Yeah.
But, that's because I'm in a particular setting and atmosphere and a camaraderie that understands that culture.
Well, it's even, I think, more complicated for you because you have some ink on you that's related to gaming, too.
I do. And, it's weird, man. Like, I'm glad you brought that up because my tattoos are very much gaming related. For those of you that don't know, I have Big Boss from Metal Gear Solid 3 on my right forearm, and then I have Asura from Asura's Wrath on my left arm, which I think I have mentioned on a previous episode. But either way, they're both gaming related tattoos. They're very bold. They're very bright. You can't miss them. And sometimes I do get kind of self-conscious when people ask me about them because I'm not going to lie and be like, well, these are like not gaming related. They very much are,
right.
Metal Gear Solid is a big part of my life and a big part of my gaming life. And it represents kind of like the passion I have for gaming. And then as far as Asura, that's a very deep meaning, kind of related to my father being passed away. So when I tell that story, it's a little bit more comforting because people don't judge me for it being a gaming tattoo. They're like, wow, like, that's really like respectful because it's like in relation to your father. Right. But at the same time, like, I'm still proud of my snake tattoo or my Big Boss tattoo. And I don't care anymore. Like, I don't care, like, if people are like, oh, dude, like, you have, like, a video game character on your arm. Like, yeah, dude, I fucking do. And there's a reason behind it.
Right. I mean,
so I'm proud of them.
Tattoos are incredibly personal experiences.
Very.
And I don't think that it's anybody's business to judge.
No, and I mean, there are people that won't even share, like, what they're about. And I respect that because, like, to them, it might be something very personal.
Right, exactly. That's the key. It's if you're doing it right, I think tattoos is going to have a ton of meaning to it. I'm not to downplay people that would just get a tattoo because it looks cool, but I think generally speaking, most people are going to put some thought into putting ink on their body.
Especially nowadays, like over the past 5-10 years, I think people have really made some strides in getting like unique tattoos instead of like a fucking spider web on their elbow.
Yeah. I mean, there was a period of time, probably I would say mid to late 90s, early 2000s, where it was kind of all the same shit.
Oh, dude, it was like swallows like on the chest, like the birds flying in. It was the spider web on the elbow.
Yeah.
You had stars like on the chest. Like it was just obnoxious. Like people just went through a phase of like, I guess, popular tattoos and flash tattoos, and now there's a lot more meaning behind them, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. I think it is a lot of people that grew up like really into comic books and stuff are now the people that are making these tattoos. They're artists who are they've just lived their entire lives like reading and exploring all these different worlds and putting their own pen to paper trying to create stuff and I don't know. I'm just bullshitting here.
No, anyway, I got you.
Anyway, dude, tell me about your trip. How was your trip?
Oh, it was wild, man. I would say that it was a little bit more streamlined this year round. I mean, it's basically just a set of conferences where we talk about like what we did last year, what we did wrong, what we did well, and what we're going to be focusing on as a new initiative for the new year. So without going into detail, it was a fun trip. It's Las Vegas. For those of you that have not traveled there, it really is in the middle of a fucking desert with beautiful mountains, by the way, in the background. Like the scenery out there is incredible, and no one ever talks about it. Like they just talk about what casino they're gambling at or what hotel they're staying at. So it makes sense because you are in the heart of a very large city that's just full of colors and lights and sounds and money and women and all this stuff. So it's a wild place, but overall it's overwhelming. Like even if you're initiated into going to busy malls or going to New York City every year or whatever, it's that kind of atmosphere, but it's busy in a different way. Like when you go to New York City, it's like herds of people, whereas in Las Vegas, it's a little bit more spread out and people are kind of doing their own thing at each kind of venue, each casino. And there's a lot of really like strange shows out there, like all these artists that you think or that you thought would have sold out by now, right? Like Celine Dion and Cher and like Siegfried and Roy and all of these acts like David Copperfield, like that you thought that these people vanished many years ago. They're still alive and they're still kicking it down there. Like Penn and Teller, They're always doing shows. And like, it's the one place where I think that they really survive because they're house acts and they're very well known. And they make a lot of money just kind of hanging out in Vegas and just kind of doing, just rolling out shows like clockwork.
They become part of the destination.
They do. It becomes part of it. Like people go there and they're like, oh my God, I'm going to go see Penn and Teller, or I'm going to go and see David Copperfield and he's going to make a car disappear on stage, all that, whatever. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of shows. There's a lot of gambling, like I said. There's beautiful hotels. You have the beautiful scenery. Mm-hmm. So there really isn't, any opportunity to not do something. Like if you're bored in Vegas, like there's just something wrong with you.
Yeah.
So it's a wild place, man. But I had a lot of fun, a lot of drinking, a lot of hanging out.
Nice.
We kind of break off into lunches and breakfasts, and they feed us and they give us like a $70 gift card to go and have fun with. So overall, the company treats us well out there, and
it's good to hear.
You get to room with like another manager and really kind of bond with them, and I think that the way that they structure it is really well thought out. As far as flying and the travel part, it was fairly terrible. I mean, getting out there was one thing. Like it was fairly smooth. I went from Bradley, which is in Hartford, Connecticut, to Detroit, and then from Detroit to Vegas, and that's a pretty long flight. It's like 4.5 hours. Yeah. So it's not that fun. So you really have to keep busy with like movies on the plane or whatever. And then as far as flying back, I mean, that was a fucking ordeal, man. Like I got out of Vegas. I had to take a red eye because I had to beat the storm before it hit us on the East Coast on Tuesday afternoon. So that was an ordeal. And then our plane from Detroit to Bradley back home was delayed at the gate for 30 minutes. And then we were at the gate again for another hour. And then we were on the runway for another hour because they had to de-ice the fucking plane. So
Wow.
I didn't get home until like noon. And my original destination or my original arrival time was like 10:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. So
Yeah.
I was pretty pissed.
That's rough,
Because
man.
I flew into the fucking storm. Like, the whole point was to fly in before the storm hit so I could drive home. You know, it's a short drive, but either way, I just wanted to avoid all of it. And
Yeah. So you were driving in the nasty weather.
Yeah, briefly. You know, I actually had to have my mom pick me up because my wife was at work. She had to go to work and just didn't have time to come and get me, so I had to call her up. She comes and picks me up, and then I switched, positions with her, and I ended up just driving home. But I was fucking wiped. You know, I never really adjusted to like the time change when I got out there. So by the time I got home, I was just fucking destroyed. I was so tired.
Yeah, you didn't have enough time to really adjust.
No, I didn't. You know, I didn't sleep that well the night before I left. And then sleeping out there was always kind of weird because you're in a new setting. You're rooming with somebody that you don't really know. But, again, without kind of waffling on it, I think it was a good trip. I have a lot of fun. And I think for anybody that has not visited Las Vegas, I think it's worth going at least once in your life.
Yeah, it's on my list of places to go, and it sounds like I'll be making it out there at least sometime within the next year, as our good friend Vic is planning on doing a bachelor party out there. So.
That's right, he is. Yeah, I think it would be a blast. Like, even if you don't gamble, there's a lot to do, and if you don't gamble, the best place to start is just cheap, penny slots or, just something of that nature, so that way you can kind of get an idea of what it's like to lose $20 in 2 seconds.
Oh, I could do that at Foxwoods.
Yeah.
And I have. So.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I'm glad you had a good trip.
Yeah, man. How was yours?
It was awesome. I wish I had a little bit more time to enjoy myself. We worked very hard. I was out there so first of all, first time flying. I took a flight out of Westchester County Airport down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And when I left Connecticut, it was, I believe, 32 degrees and cold, very, very cold weather. And I flew into like 80 degrees and sunny and just gorgeous, right? No humidity, just breezy. It was beautiful. Our hotel was literally right on the beach. And you just go outside and you just see ocean for miles. It was
That's
absolutely
awesome.
Gorgeous. And I was down there to film a medical conference for a pharmaceutical company. We had 4 robotic cameras that we had shipped in that needed to be programmed to communicate with our computer and with a joystick. And we got them all programmed up, and we had them going into a production switcher, all kinds of monitors, recording equipment and stuff. And everything went smoothly. We had some headaches trying to get everything together. UPS had a bit of a policy where they usually ship things back. Anything that's shipped to their store, they send back. But they were able to locate the items we needed. We were able to get everything. So no major complaints there. Just kind of threw us off a little bit. We had to kind of recover from that. And once we got everything hooked up, everything went smoothly. Just very long days. We landed in Fort Lauderdale at about 11. We picked up the equipment. We were at the hotel setting up probably by around 2, I want to say. And we didn't finish until... we stopped for dinner, and then we went back to work again, and we were wrapping up like about 11 o'clock at night. And then the next day we woke up for breakfast at 7 and just went straight to the conference room, and we were working literally until 11 p.m.
Wow.
So very, very long days. And then the day of the conference itself, that actually went much quicker than we were expecting. But we started filming that at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they were running ahead of schedule. We were scheduled to go until 5. They finished at about 1:30. So we got very lucky there. But it was nice, man. We had an opportunity to enjoy ourselves. We all of our meals, all of our expenses were paid for, so we're staying at a 5-star hotel. I felt like I was among like the rich and beautiful. Like I didn't belong there. Everybody there was like super young and super loaded with money.
Oh yeah.
But it was a heck of an experience. I got an opportunity to network with some people and got to hit up a brewery. There's a brewery down there called Funky Buddha.
Nice.
And got to sample some of their beers. And it was, excellent brewery. I would definitely go back if I were in the area. Got to see an X-Men vs. Street Fighter arcade machine. It's been a while since I've seen one of those.
Beautiful sight.
Unfortunately, I did not have an opportunity to play it. I was with the clients at the time, so I snuck off to get a few photos, but it just wasn't a good opportunity for me.
Just one game, please.
Yeah. I was networking. I was trying to be a responsible adult, And and then we had an extra day before we head back, and I got to go on a river cruise and kind of see the all the mansions in the area, and got to feed some birds. That was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I don't mean like throwing like food at pigeons. I mean like
I
went to an aviary and they had lorikeets that like you hold a cup of nectar and there's like 10 of them on your arm, and they're just chowing down on this like nectar. It's crazy. It was really awesome.
Yeah, it's not like you were throwing Wonder Bread to seagulls.
No, it wasn't. So,
it's awesome.
Yeah, I had a really good time. It was good to come home. It was a long week. I was only there for 4 days, but we worked really hard those 4 days. Well, except for the day off. So three of the 4 days we worked really hard, and it was good to come home. But I enjoyed it. I would definitely do it again.
I think it's amazing how traveling will sometimes like really fly by. Like, let's say you're out there for, like you said, 3-4 days or whatever. It flies by, and then it's amazing how quickly you get homesick.
Yeah.
And you're like, shit, I kind of like, I'm enjoying myself, but I really fucking want to go home.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I'm on like day 3, and I'm like, you know what? Like, if we didn't have like the day off, like, I was ready to go. You know, like it was nice to be able to experience the sights and everything, but I was really kind of ready to head back after that. Like, I was just burned out. I'm like, man, I miss Nikki. I miss the cats.
Yeah.
I miss
cats.
I miss my bed.
Yeah, man. Like it's weird how traveling has that effect on you. And, the more you get used to it, I think, you just get more used to it and you don't have that homesickness anymore. But, for people that only travel like once or twice a year like us, you just kind of start thinking about those things, and, traveling is very taxing as well. Like you kind of forget, the traveling itself, the flying and just the unpacking and settling in, and, you often get to your hotel room, you just want to fucking crash.
Right. I mean, our flight was only about 2.5 hours, which wasn't too terrible, but like the morning of, like like I said before, I've never flown, so I wasn't sure how long TSA was going to take. And, Westchester Airport is super tiny, so it wasn't like this big ordeal. Like, I really could have gotten there maybe half an hour before the flight and it would have been fine, but I got there 2 hours before.
So what was your experience like flying, like actually taking off, being in the air? I mean, this is your first time.
It reminded me a lot of being on a train.
Okay.
I mean, except for like the takeoff and the landing, but just you're sitting in a kind of a cramped area. Everybody's going to a destination, and you keep hearing these chimes over and over again, and there's just this constant like subtle noise, conversations. It just reminded me of being on a train. And I've spent a lot of time on trains going back and forth to Long Island before Nikki moved up to Connecticut. But
sure,
the takeoff and the landing were relatively smooth. I wasn't really sure what to expect. It's incredible how fast they get to that speed they need to be at to lift.
Oh, it's unreal.
It's just like foot to pedal to the floor.
Yeah, there's no time in between. It's not like, okay, we're at 60 now, and now we're at 100. It's like, nope, went from 0 to like 200 in like a matter of like a couple of seconds. So,
right.
And sometimes they do it kind of without really notifying the passengers. So you'll just be sitting there, and all of a sudden you're like, oh fuck,
That's
here we go.
That's basically what happened. Like, he's like, all right, well, we're going to be taxiing to the runway now, and then like there's a lot of silence, and I can see us taxiing over to where we're going to be.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I'm in the air. I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, man, it's a weird sensation for me, taking off, because I still have some leftover like vertigo. For people that don't know what that is, it's basically like a weird like inner ear thing, so it can kind of fuck with your equilibrium.
Yeah.
So for me, like the takeoff part is kind of like a weird sort of sinking motion that I get inside my head, so it almost feels like I'm moving, but I'm not. And it usually only lasts like a couple seconds and then it goes away. But it's a little weird, but it's just part of the flying experience. It's kind of like the same effect that you would get from being on a swing or like a merry-go-round, same kind of thing.
That seems like the a good way to put it, like that kind of sensation of being on like a merry-go-round, I think.
Yeah, you kind of you're dizzy, but you're not. It's just like a weird sensation. But I would imagine that there's quite a few more people than just myself that suffer from that problem taking off.
Yeah. I can't identify with that. I've never experienced it personally, but that's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we're back. It's good to be back in the hot seat again.
It really is. We've had a lot to talk about. We've been chatting for the past 2 weeks, trying to, get amped up for the show again, because I know I've been looking forward to it. I know you've been looking forward to it, and we have so much to talk about. And really, we don't even have a script for tonight. Usually, we'll have like a bunch of topics in advance, and man, I just want to talk about some games. And I know people that are listening to us are like, all right, well, you guys shut the fuck up about your traveling. Let's get with the games.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just I needed to tell my story, and I know you needed to tell yours.
Yeah. Got to let people know that we're more than just gamers. We're humans as well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So just a little door into our world, I guess. What have you been playing, man?
Yeah. What have I been playing? I've actually moved on to Vanquish, and it ended up becoming just kind of a weird hankering to play the game. I really don't know what it was. I mean, my mind works in very mysterious ways, and I kind of just think about things sometimes. I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to, delve into this. So for Vanquish, it's a PS3 game. It came out in 2010. It is, I believe, published by Sega and developed by Platinum Games. For those of you that know me, I love Platinum Games. They're kind of the guys behind Metal Gear Rising, Bayonetta, some of my favorite action games, and I believe they're, masters of their craft when it comes to making an action game. And I've had it for a long time. I've had it on my hard drive for years, and I bought it kind of not really on a whim. I think I watched like a review, and I was like, oh, this game looks good, so I'm going to buy it, and I did. And actually, you know what? Scratch that, Drew. I didn't buy it. It was one of the free, what do you call it? PlayStation Plus games like many moons ago.
Okay. It's funny you mentioned that, because it was just free for the Xbox recently.
That's what I heard. I downloaded it, and I've had it for a long time. I played it like on and off just for like 20 minutes here and there over the course of, what seems to be like an eternity. And I just decided to pick it up and play it. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to, dive into this game. I really just want to play like a good, solid action game. And it's been treating me well. It's a ton of fun. It's got very kind of what I call classic Platinum Games mechanics, where you have something very similar to Witch Time that I've mentioned before about Bayonetta, where you can kind of slow down time. And it's sort of like a Max Payne effect.
Okay.
Where you can kind of do the whole bullet time thing. So I think they call it AR mode, and it allows you to you can roll into like a dodge mechanic, and then if you hit L1 at the exact same kind of time, you get into AR mode, which slows down time, and it uses your suit mechanics and suit's energy to allow you to kind of shoot enemy or a robot at a particular target for a short amount of time. So like I said, it's very comparable to Witch Time and Bayonetta, the bullet time in Max Payne. Even Metal Gear Rising had a system that was very similar that allowed you to slow down time to kind of cut things and cut them into pieces.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. In terms of the premise, you're basically, from what I understand, sort of like a Marine that's set in the future, and you're wearing a very special sort of mechanical suit that sort of protects you. I guess you can kind of compare it to the suit that's used in the Crisis games. So it has a lot of different functions. It has like an energy, like I guess in some ways you can even compare it to Isaac's suit in Dead Space. Like it's got a lot of those kind of ideas in place where, you know, it has energy cells attached to it. You have different weapons you can pick up and grenades, and your suit has limitations. Like there are certain moves that you can do that will use your suit's energy cells. So it's a very well-crafted, you know, action game that involves robots and sort of these mechanized Marines, and it's a futuristic setting. It's very Japanese. It's very snappy. I've kind of referred to Platinum Games creating games that are very gamey, and I know that sounds so fucking weird, but I've explained it before in other episodes where Bayonetta is a very snappy, fun, gamey kind of game. Like it just feels like you're playing a game. Like when you're playing Red Dead Redemption 2, you feel like you're playing a movie. You feel like you're controlling something that is very stoic and stiff, and there's like so many different ways to kind of, you know, structure your movement, whereas these games are a little bit more simplified and allow for more fluidity.
Yeah. That's an interesting way to put it, and I think it sounds like they've kind of hit their niche, you know?
They have. Like, when you play a Platinum's game, like, you know it's Platinum Games. Like, it just has that distinct classic feel that they really implement into their development process.
I like that. You know, I think that's important for developers to do. I don't think enough developers do that anymore.
Yeah, it's just tight. It's a very tight, responsive game. Like, when you control Bayonetta, in Bayonetta, like, you move the stick and she's just instantly moving. Like, whereas, like, with Red Dead Redemption, like, you hit the stick a little bit and he'll walk slowly. Or you move it forward all the way and he starts, like, walking faster. So it's a little bit, it's just less snappy.
Yeah. Interesting.
But yeah, that's what I'm playing, man.
I gotta check that out, because the videos that you showed me made it look like it was, you know, a lot of fun.
Oh, it's badass, dude.
Yeah.
It's a very cool game.
I appreciate cool games. I know that doesn't make me sound like I'm very cool, but...
No, but there is such a thing, man. I think that the listeners will understand what I'm saying. You know, there are games that are just cool, and there are games that are like Red Dead that are just like incredibly graphical, and it's like, you know, you're unfolding a movie with your own hands. So
yeah, it's realistic. Yeah,
there's nothing realistic about Vanquish.
I just looked it up on my account, and I do have a copy here that I must have grabbed when it was on Xbox Live for
good.
Games with Gold. So the nice thing is I can fire that up on my 360 or my Xbox One and play it. So that's pretty
cool.
There you go. Nice.
What
Man,
about
I don't even know where to start. I've been trying to set aside some time for stuff, and you know, I've been all right. So let me just get this out of the way. Not a huge update. I have been making progress on Horizon.
Hooray!
I've got about 80 hours in on that game almost.
That's impressive.
It really is, and like I can't remember the last time I stuck with a game this long. It may only be an hour here, an hour there, but I'm still playing it. I'm still making progress with it. I'm still hitting areas of the map that I haven't explored yet. I'm actually in the middle of they call them cauldrons. They're essentially like these dungeons that ultimately lead you to, gives you like the ability to take control over new machines. Mm-hmm. And it'll usually give you like the ability to grab like maybe 3 or 4 different types in one shot.
Okay.
So I believe this is the last cauldron, and it should allow me to control just about everything at this point. I don't know if there's another one. I'm not aware of there being another one.
Okay.
And I've tried really hard outside of that to stay on target with story missions, but I just keep getting wrapped up in side quests, and it's breaking my heart, man.
I just want to beat the game.
Yeah, I do, but at the same time, like I'm enjoying it, and I almost bought the DLC for it yesterday. I had a $10 coupon for Best Buy.
Nice.
And it was going to expire within a week, so I absolutely had to use it. So I'm looking at their prices on everything, and they had the DLC for $10. I almost grabbed it.
This is Frozen Wilds, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
But I decided to hold off, and I ended up picking up Spider-Man for the PS4 instead.
For $10?
Well, it ended up... So the game was on sale for $40.
Okay.
And I still have my Gamers Club discount, which actually expires this month. So, like, this is my last hurrah. It gives you 20% off of the game. So that knocked the price down to, I think, $31 and change at that point.
Okay.
And then with the $10 off coupon, I spent less than $25 in the game total.
Nice.
And actually, I ordered it on Friday, and they're like, oh, yeah, it'll be there Monday. I got it today. We're recording
beautiful.
on Saturday, so it arrived in a day.
Wow.
And
just had like an Amazon drone drop it off.
Basically, it was really impressive. I've never had Best Buy ship stuff that quickly to me. And then they're usually pretty good. Like, if they say 2-day shipping, I usually get it in 2 days, but it's usually like the end of the second day.
Mm-hmm.
Like 5:30 at night when, any free time I had to game is gone. Or
Yeah.
So...
So what do you think about the game?
Well, when I first popped the game in, and our listeners can check out our Instagram to kind of see a little bit of my frustration there, because I posted an image and I posted a story. So the first thing that pops up was, you need 43 gigabytes of space, your hard drive is full, you need to delete some stuff. I'm like, all right.
Awesome.
Well, I got a couple older games that I'm not really playing right now, so I'll go ahead and I'll delete them. Now, I don't know if deleting the game also deletes the save file. I'm praying it doesn't. I don't subscribe to PSN, so I don't have any cloud saves. But the games that I deleted were games that I haven't played in a very, very long time. They mostly were free downloads, so I'm not really too concerned about it. But if it gets to the point where I have to start deleting games like Horizon, for example, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
So I made the space, and then I put the disc in, and it comes up with the thing where it's like, okay, installing. Installation will take approximately 1 hour.
Oh.
So I let it install, and I had some stuff to do around the house, just some cleaning and whatever. And it went a little bit faster than an hour, but it was pretty close. I would say maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And then it's like, okay, version 1.00 of the game has been installed. There's an update to version 1.14. Approximate download time, 3 hours.
Oh, my God.
So I started that. And thankfully on this one, there's the option to bail out and, just not do anything network related on it.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, you know what? We're recording in an hour. Fuck this. I canceled the download and I fired up the game and I played it for about maybe 45 minutes.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun. I didn't get a chance to do too much, but I as soon as we're done recording, I'm going to go back in and play some more.
Sure.
The swinging mechanics is a lot of fun. It takes a little bit to kind of get used to it, but once you kind of get it down, it's very natural feeling.
Mm-hmm.
New York City looks absolutely jaw-dropping.
It does, man. I've seen game footage, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of want this game, like just to kind of have that opportunity to, web my way through the city.
Yeah. I took I don't know if I call it a ride. I swung my way over to the Freedom Tower, and that was just gorgeous. I didn't get a chance to really go down to the ground level and see anything. I got to go back over there again.
Mm-hmm.
The skyline is gorgeous. I remember swinging around Madison Square Garden. That was pretty incredible. Looking out over where the Brooklyn Bridge is and everything.
Sure.
The game is gorgeous, and the PlayStation just does outdoors, I think, so well.
I agree.
I'm kind of going from Horizon to this. Horizon is one of those games where every now and then it'll just stop me in my tracks and I'll just look around and be like, wow, this is gorgeous. And to take that outdoor setting now and go into an urban environment with the same level of technical prowess, is just amazing. You know, they put so much detail into making New York City look so realistic, but they didn't stop. They didn't forget to make the game fun.
You know, and I think that's why that game, like, it won some awards for, like, you know, just all of that stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember how many awards it won, but it was a ton of them. And I mean, 45 minutes in, I could see that this is going to be a blast. And the nice thing about it too, I looked it up real quick. It's not a very long game. I think How Long to Beat had it at about 16 hours, which
oh wow, okay,
isn't terrible. So, you know, here I am talking about 80 hours in on Horizon. Like, I don't need another game like that right now.
Yeah, no.
I'm looking forward to jumping in on it again and kind of playing around with, you know, getting used to the city, getting used to the mechanics. Fighting is a little tough. I'm kind of struggling dealing with certain types of characters. I think it's just me getting used to playing a beat 'em up. You know, I don't play a lot of beat 'em ups, and this is, it's very easy for me to kind of get in the button mashing mode.
Sure.
And I don't know if that's working for me. You know, I mean, like I don't think it's beneficial. Let me put it that way. Like, I'm still having fun with the game, but
right.
Like, I'm definitely dying because I'm just pressing square repeatedly.
Yeah, I feel like that's you know, fighting games and games alike, you know, they have that issue sometimes, like where you just get fed up and you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna wing this. Yeah.
But it's really cool though, because like you can web guys, you know, in the middle of a fight, and you can kind of get them to either get stuck on the side of a building, or you know, just get them wrapped up so you can kind of do what you need to do with them. You can grab objects to swing it around and hit them with it, and it's a lot of fun. But there's also some puzzle elements there as well too. Very rudimentary stuff, you know, like match the pattern, or you know, get the slime pipe to connect to the other end, kind of shit.
Sure.
But so far so good. Like, I'm looking forward to spending some more time with it.
That's good, man. And you know, going back to what you said about, you know, when you're kind of in the midst of a fight, I really, it makes me think of Assassin's Creed, and like Assassin's Creed 3 in particular, where like it'll tell you how to engage with enemies, right? And
yeah,
you know, button sequences and stuff, but you just find yourself button mashing still, and you're just like, oh, like this doesn't feel like, I feel like I'm not doing anything. Like I'm doing something, but I'm not really in control. Like the game is just kind of taking over, and I don't know if what I'm doing is even mattering, you know, is even making a difference. And I don't like that in games. Like I want to feel like what I'm doing is actually making a difference.
Well, I mean, like there's this one combo you can do where you press and hold square, and it launches the guy up, very much like, you know, fighting game, and you can jump up and combo him, or you can hit triangle and you'll grab him with your webs and slam him to the ground. So there's this kind of it's kind of a little open-ended, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a whole experience system where as you gain experience, you can unlock different abilities, which I haven't even scratched the surface of. I unlocked something. I don't even remember what it was.
Wow.
It's yeah. So, you know, that's a whole nother thing, you know, altogether. But there's a lot for me to unravel with this, and I haven't spent enough time with it to really give it its justice. But so far so good. A lot of fun.
Good. Well, that's the thing. You know, I think that you and I seem to be very alike when it comes to picking up a new game, right? Adding to the backlog, and then enjoying the game for what it is, and then you almost want to savor it. So like you don't want to beat it. You're just like, nah, man, like this game's so good, like I just don't want to play it. Like I know that sounds so stupid, but like it makes so much sense to me, because there have been many games that are currently in my backlog that are amazing games, and I know that they're worthwhile, but I have this weird hang up where I'm like, you know what? Like I'm not ready for this. Like
right.
I know I've mentioned Red Dead 2 so many times, but like I can't wait to dive into that game properly. I'm just not ready to do it right now.
Well, like I have, you know, God of War and Nier Automata on my shelf, and Anthem comes out next week, which I'm super excited about.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll circle back to Anthem in a bit. I have a lot to say about the demo, but with God of War and Nier Automata, my plan was to finish Horizon,
mm-hmm.
and then I want to say about 50% of the way through Prey, which is nice combination between BioShock and Dead Space.
Sure.
Really enjoying that game. But for whatever reason, I put it aside, and I'm like, all right, let me focus on Horizon. I'll come back to Prey. And then Spider-Man, I've been waiting for a price drop on that. I said to myself, all right, I know I want this game. I don't want to spend $60 on it. What is my price point for this? Mm-hmm. And $20 to $25 was my sweet spot. The only reason I pulled the trigger on it was because I had the coupon that was going to expire, and I'm like, you know what, it's now or never. I'm going to lose my discount. I'm going to lose all this stuff. Fuck it. Let's just get it. I'll shelve it. And then it came in the mail today, and I'm like, oh man, I want to play it. And I don't regret it. I still am intending on finishing Horizon as soon as possible, but if a game like Spider-Man is only going to be 16 hours, why not have that as something I could pop in and just, even if it's just to fucking swing around for an hour.
Sure. I feel like what we're classified as is perhaps, something that maybe I'm coining as a mood gamer. Like, maybe we're the kind of gamers that just need to be in the mood to play something. And I know there are plenty of other people out there like us, but you also have a lot of people that just have this incredible amount of dedication to one or two games. And, I envy those people because they're like, no, man, I'm still doing Madden. It's like, what? Like, there's so many games out, like, you don't want to, like, stray off. And they're like, no, I'm good.
Well, I know there's a lot of people that are very regimented with, okay, I'm playing this right now. I'm not going on to the next one until I finish this. Mm-hmm. And I envy that.
Right. And it's weird because, like, sometimes they have that discipline with a video game, but then they can't get dressed in the morning. It's like, how do you manage to, like, you have, like, a pile of laundry on the ground behind you, but yet you have this dedication to one game until it's beat, and it took you 120 hours to do so. So
right.
It's weird, man. Maybe it's a priorities thing. I really don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm still trying to figure it all out. And like, I don't see anything wrong with having more than one game at a time as long as you just don't let the backlog fester.
Right.
Like there are games that just don't end.
Right.
Destiny doesn't end. Madden doesn't end. MLB The Show doesn't end. These are games. Rocket League. Rocket League is almost exclusively multiplayer.
Yeah, those games
PUBG,
don't end.
They don't end. There's no ending. There's no beginning. There's no middle. There's no end.
So, I would say Vic is that gamer for sure. I mean, I don't think he really plays any game that doesn't end or that does end.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that before with him too, and he does play single player games, but it's really got to be something special.
It does.
I know a lot of people are really into Resident Evil 2 remake right now. Mm-hmm. I know he had expressed interest in playing it. I'm not sure if he did.
Looks very good.
Yeah, it does. I've never been a Resident Evil fan, but I know a lot of people are really, really into it.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I enjoyed 4. But that's really all I played.
Yeah. What else you been playing? Or is there anything else that's on your radar right now?
I'd like to, go back to Shadow of the Colossus at some point and back to Bayonetta 2 and kind of, wrap those games up and just kind of dive back in. But right now, I think Vanquish seems to be a good fit for me. Just with everything that I have going on with work and whatnot. I think that it's a good game that I can kind of just, come home to, pick up, play for, 30 minutes to an hour, try and beat a boss. Because the game's actually very difficult. So
right.
I'm finding that, it just seems to be the right thing for me at this point in time. But
I just put a little query into the Google machine.
Okay.
Vanquish, if you do the main story only, you can beat it in 6 hours.
Wow.
If you get some of the extras, you're looking at more like 8.
Okay, so it's a very short game.
If you're going for completionists, they're saying about 16.
All right.
So, my challenge to you is I would like to see you beat Vanquish. Just the main story is fine.
Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. I mean, you and I had spoken about beating it in like a day or two, and of course that didn't happen. But
no. I wasn't expecting that. But
yeah, yeah. Our expectations are very low for each other, I think, when it comes to that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, sure, buddy. All right, yeah, come see me when you can put a straw in a Coke, all right? So I think realistically I'll probably get it, let's see, today's Saturday, probably sometime next week.
Yeah.
At the rate that I'm going, I think if I can stay with it and not get too distracted, then I could definitely get it done by, I'd say, latest end of next week.
I think that's a good goal.
Yeah, and I'm excited to do it. I'm up for the challenge, and I think to kind of answer your question before, there are a few games on my radar that I know that you and I will delve into soon.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, what about you? I mean, is there anything else besides kind of like that sort of juggling act that you have going on right now?
Well, so Games with Gold renewed so basically the way the Xbox Games with Gold works, they do games that come out on the 1st and then games that come out on the 15th. And so we're recording on the 16th. Super Bomberman R was the game that came out on the 15th. And I remember being kind of disappointed that it was going to be a Switch exclusive when they first announced Super Bomberman R. I'm a huge Bomberman fan going back to when I had it on TurboGrafx. I fucking love Bomberman. And I was really bummed about it. And then they announced they were going to put it out on the Xbox. I was like, oh, cool. Maybe I'll buy this. And I didn't. But it was, it was something that I was seriously considering. And I remember seeing it on sale a couple weeks ago for like $10 or $15. And I was like, you know what? Maybe now's the time for me to pull the trigger. And I was getting ready to go away. And I'm like, maybe now's not the time. So I held off. Well, then, a week later, they announced it for free. And I'm like, oh, thank God. So I played that for a little while on Friday. And I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed in it. The storyline and just everything about that game screams Japan in like the worst possible way.
Oh, no.
The music is so over the top. The sounds are over the top. The voice acting is cheesier than the worst possible anime. It's a bit of a disappointment for me. And I know that Bomberman has always been campy, but I think I forgot like how campy it is. I thought like maybe they left some of that campiness back in the 16-bit era.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think that was the case. It's like just they're laying it on thick.
Yeah, I've never been a big Bomberman guy. I don't know if there's really such a thing. I mean, when I think of Bomberman, I actually have memories of it was a Bomberman game for the PC many years ago. I remember my friend had it, and we played it on PC back in like 96, I want to say.
I'm trying to remember which one that might have been.
Yeah, it was a very specific one, and I believe it was only for PC.
Okay.
So we could probably Google that at some point.
You said it was 96?
I believe it was 96. 96 to 98, somewhere in that time period.
Let's see here. List of Bomberman games. See, here's how many Bomberman games there are. It actually has its own fucking Wikipedia entry. Not just
Wow.
Bomberman. Like, there's actually a page called List of Bomberman Games.
Jeez.
That's how many there are.
I had no idea.
Let's see here. 96. So Saturn Bomberman, PC Atomic Bomberman.
It might have been that one.
I think.
I mean, this thing was in like a fucking jewel case. Like, I mean, this is like a super old school PC game. It was very grid-like in terms of the gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, the formula for Bomberman hasn't changed, with the exception of the 360 game that they made that was a flop.
Yeah, I think it was this one, Drew.
Was it?
I think so. It looks very familiar.
Yeah. I mean, at its core, Bomberman is the same game it's been for the past, 20 years.
Well, I'll tell you what, Miles, if you're listening to this episode, I'm sure you're going to listen to it, let us know. Because Miles is the friend that I had that I still have, that introduced me to this game back in like 96 when we were super young.
Cool.
I think we were like 6th, 7th grade, somewhere around there.
Nice.
And I just remember being at his house, and he put it on the computer that he had in his basement, and I just remember, witnessing some of it, and I was like, okay, this is Bomberman, I kind of see what's going on, and that was kind of it. Like, I didn't have any other interaction with that series really ever again.
Hit us up, Miles, let us know.
Yeah, Yeah, he's an avid listener.
Nice, awesome. Well, let's see here. So I played that for a little while, and then the Anthem VIP demo was 2 weeks ago, and I spent a lot of time with that.
Yeah, let's hear about this game. I'm very, very curious about this.
So, the demo was forked off from the main release, so it's important to keep in mind that, I guess in the development process, they kind of take the final game and send it in one direction, and then they have to send the demo in another one so it can get certified and, be on all these different platforms without, blowing up your Xbox or your PlayStation. And unfortunately, there were a lot of bugs with it. The first weekend that they had the launch, people couldn't get into the game at all.
Man.
There was some sort of a glitch, and it wasn't like a server issue where like the servers were at capacity or anything. They had enough servers. There was a legitimate bug in the game where it would load to 95% and freeze.
Wow.
And they were able to fix that pretty quickly. And by pretty quickly, I mean by the end of the day. But so it wasn't like super quick, but like I spent like an hour and a half trying to get in this game before I was just like, you know what, I can't. I have other things to do. Once everything started working, a lot of fun. We talked about how Platinum Games their games have a feel, and I feel the same as with BioWare. Their games have a feel, and this game reminds me of all the best parts of Mass Effect's co-op multiplayer.
Uh-huh.
And it takes a little bit of from Mass Effect 3, it takes a little bit from Andromeda, and kind of wraps it up in its own thing. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited to play this game with with my friends. I know Vic is picking up a copy. His brother Vincey's going to be getting a copy. I'm not sure who else is buying it. I'll be playing it on the Xbox. And so if anybody wants to hit me up, Scion Storm. Shoot me a message. We'll play.
Not poison.
And not poison. But it's have you ever watched Iron Man, the movie, and like said to yourself, man, I wish I could do that in a video game?
Fuck yeah.
Yes, you can do that in Anthem.
That's awesome.
That flying is a fucking core part of the gameplay. It's not like just once in a while. Like, that's how you get to places.
It's huge. Okay. Yeah, because I know Vic and I had kind of compared it to a couple different games, Dark Void and Vanquish, actually. And I feel like those two games, for those of you that don't know what they are, definitely look them up. Dark Void was a game that I actually don't know that much about, but it enabled you to kind of fly around in some kind of like, I think you had like a backpack or like some kind of like rocket on your back or something like that.
It was kind of like the Rocketeer in the video game world.
Yeah, it was like a jetpack kind of thing going on, and I'm not even really sure what you did or do in the game, but it's interesting, and it was the first game that came to my mind when we started, this whole Anthem topic. And as far as Vanquish, same kind of thing. It had that sort of like the similar mechanisms going on, so I kind of just infused those two. Right. And I think Vic and I were able to kind of agree that they seem like the only two games that you can kind of compare Anthem to. Yeah.
I mean, without playing Vanquish, it's hard for me to say. I definitely can understand where you're coming up with the Dark Void comparison.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's natural for a lot of people to want to compare the game to Destiny, being a open world MMO shooter. But I really feel like it's more like a Mass Effect kind of thing, more than Destiny. It plays, it's exclusively third person. It sounds like Mass Effect. It feels like Mass Effect. There's combos that you can use. Like basically each javelin, they call them, has different powers that you can get, and some of them are primers, and some of them are detonators. And basically, you could kind of coordinate with your team. So, let's say you have an ability that primes. You're basically charging an enemy for me, and I'm sending over the electric shock that makes them explode. So there's a lot of strategy going back and forth where you can prime and detonate on your own, or you can set up a build where, maybe your character is only primers and you're playing with people that are only detonators, and you guys work together and communicate so that you're constantly setting off all these biotic explosions.
Cool.
And they're visually stunning. They sound awesome. I mean, it's like just earth crackling from the heavens.
Love it. I mean, well, you and I spoke about BioWare's sound, and it seems like they have an incredible team.
I will never forget the sound of the Reapers
from Mass Effect.
Oh man, it's just whoa! Like I don't even know how to explain it, but it's just incredible.
Yeah, they really capture a lot of those sort of sci-fi elements when it comes to sound.
Yeah, they really
extraordinarily well.
I mean, I've never really gotten into like the Dragon Age games, but I feel like they just have like science fiction down.
They do.
And a lot of people love the Dragon Age games too, and I think, I'd be doing them a disservice to say that they don't have that genre down either, but yeah.
Cool. Well, this game sounds good.
I mean, the demo was really buggy, but it gave me a window into the possibilities, and the team that's behind it has been incredibly transparent through updates on their own site and through updates on Reddit, on Twitter. They are on top of things. They are active in the community. I really think that BioWare is going to get this one right. And on top of it all, they're not selling any DLC. If you want to spend money on the game past the initial $60, it's strictly cosmetic. They're not going to be nickeling and diming people. At least that's what they're saying right now.
Okay.
So you can spend $5 and you get a cool paint job, but it doesn't affect your gameplay in one bit.
Yeah, I mean, I know that we're going to save like game piracy and DLC and microtransactions for a different episode, but I will say that I've always believed that DLC is worth the money if the DLC is worth the money. I know that sounds very counterintuitive, but I think there are DLCs that are worth spending money on, and there are others that aren't. So it really just depends on what the content is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with DLC in general as long as I feel like I'm getting a value from it. But like the thing that I kept running into with Destiny is, they're asking us to spend anywhere from $10 to $25 on DLC, and you're getting this great gameplay experience. But on top of it all, there's literally a store where you can spend more money to get more things. And I felt like a lot of that should have been included in the game, for regular in-game currency, not for real dollars.
Sure.
Anthem is giving you a pathway to do both. Like, if I want to get that cool paint job, I can earn currency in the game to get it. It might take me longer than somebody swiping a charge card for $5, but it can be done. But at the end of the day, it doesn't affect my gameplay. Whereas a lot of the stuff in Destiny, there were items that you could purchase that actually would affect your gameplay. It would enhance things. You can get a gun, that somebody else might not have had access to, or
right,
things like that.
Well, I'll have to check it out a little bit more because I really haven't watched enough.
The PC crowd has access to the game already. The final version. It went live for Origin subscribers yesterday. And then consoles,
fucking Origin.
Yeah, PC, they kind of get a little bit of an advance on it, but I'm okay with it because it gives them a chance to get a few more bugs out before we get it.
Yes.
Consoles will see it on the 22nd. So I'll be playing it. Day one, I already got my pre-order in. I'll be at Best Buy at 10 a.m. Coming home with it.
That's cool, man. I'm looking forward to hearing more about this game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having it as my my number two. It's been a while since I've played a game like this. The story looks like it's going to be fun. I don't know too much about it, but it does seem like, it's not completely just gibberish. So that's a good sign.
That's good, man. I mean, you can kind of see it as like your Call of Duty, if you will. Like that's your kind of go-to. Yeah. And then you have like your single player stuff that you're going to be messing around with at the same time.
Exactly. So that's all I have. I got Anthem, I got Horizon, I got Spider-Man, and I got Bomberman, which is a letdown. So
hey, man, that's enough.
Yeah. So let's see here. So you had a couple games that were on your radar, and I know you wanted to talk about a major announcement on the Switch as well.
Yeah, so I guess we could start with Zelda Link's Awakening, which for me came out of absolutely nowhere. I think I was on Twitter, and I actually saw Brian Altano, who's a very famous like IGN editor or whatever, and it was like a reaction video. So somebody retweeted him reacting to the trailer that I think came from Nintendo Direct. They just had some kind of presser that happened recently. Okay. And I think that's where they announced it. But I watched it immediately because that game on the Game Boy Pocket was, I believe, my first Game Boy Pocket game ever. So technically, I think it was my first portable game ever.
Oh wow! That's awesome.
If you're not counting that Tiger system, remember the old school Tiger?
Yep.
Yeah, I had the Street Fighter version of that. But either way, Link's Awakening really holds a very special place in my heart because I do enjoy Zelda. I'm kind of like you, where like I'm not huge into it, but I really enjoyed Ocarina of Time, and I really enjoyed Link's Awakening. So when this was announced, and I still haven't seen the entire trailer or teaser, I was immediately excited because I was like, you know what? This is why I have a Switch. Yeah. And I'm glad that I do, because recently I was thinking about selling it, or maybe it wasn't the right purchase, but I'm keeping it for Bayonetta 2, Bayonetta 3, basically Bayonetta in general. And then you have Link's Awakening. Platinum Games is going to be releasing another game that I'm going to speak about in a minute that's also for Nintendo Switch. So I'm fucking excited for it, man. I don't know if you ever played it, but it's what I consider one of the best Zeldas ever made.
It's not one I have played. No, I've really struggled to find a Zelda that I like.
It's tough. There's so many.
Yeah, it really is difficult because they're all vastly different too.
They are.
I've played the first one, although I played it recently, so I didn't experience it back in the day when it was a huge thing. And my understanding is if you don't have the instruction book, which contains a map of the place, like, you're kind of really fucked. So I need to sit down with that game when I actually have a map, so I kind of know where I'm going, I think, a little bit. But like I've played, I have the GBA one. I can't remember the name of it.
Game Boy Advance.
It's literally right next to me. Give me a second. Hold on.
Okay.
Four Swords.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Yeah. Oh, it's Link to the Past with Four Swords. So Link to the Past is the Super Nintendo version, right? Yes,
Link to the Past is considered a staple in the genre of Zelda, and I shamefully have not played it.
I was going to say that I've never played it, but I guess I have because I have it on a Game Boy Advance. Oh, that's how much of a Zelda fan I am. I don't even know what fucking games I own.
Yeah, you're like, I got some fucking, Zelda. That's the little dude with the hat. No, that's Link.
Yeah. I have a lot of Zelda games. I think all of the GameCube ones. I have Zelda 1. Well, I have the NES Classic, so that has 1 and 2 on it.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the Super NES Classic has A Link to the Past on it, which I've never even played.
Yes, it does.
On the SNES Classic. I have Zelda for the 3DS. Which one is that? I don't even fucking know. Audio's going out because I'm literally leaning over to look at my shelf.
You ignorant Zelda fan.
So I have Majora's Mask 3D and Link Between Worlds, which actually that one might have been the one that I enjoyed the most, Link Between Worlds.
Well, I'll tell you, a rare one apparently is Ocarina of Time on the 3DS. Apparently it's kind of a hard one to get a hold of now.
Really?
Yeah, from what I understand. I remember it was one of the games I got for the 3DS. And I will say it looked good. Having those particles and little fairies and stuff kind of popping through the screen was super cool. So, for you, call me biased because I happen to love this game, but I think Ocarina of Time or maybe even Link's Awakening, the remaster, might be a good place to start.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to try. Like I've always tried to keep an open mind with these games, but it's just a matter of finding the time to like dive into them and stick with it.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of always been my thing. Like I struggle to get into it, and then I just move on.
Right.
I don't stick with it to give it a chance to really become like blossom into that great game that everybody talks about. So I don't know. I gotta sit down and I gotta commit to it one of these days because, like, I really hesitate to say that I don't like Zelda. I chose my words very carefully when I said I haven't found a Zelda that I like.
Yeah, I think that's a good statement.
Well, I think it's kind of like, like if you don't like wine or you don't like beer, like there's so many different varieties of both where, you're bound to find something eventually that you'll like. You just haven't found it yet.
Right, because I think it's more, it's a lot more ignorant to kind of say, "Oh, I hate wine," versus I just haven't found the wine that that I can enjoy yet.
Exactly.
So I think that's the right kind of comment because, Zelda is a fantastic franchise, but hey, like if you don't end up digging it, like then that's okay. And like there are going to be a lot of people that are like, "I don't understand, bro. It's such a good thing," but like, it's just not for everyone. Like it's just not. It's a very specific kind of game. It's a specific kind of world, and plays on a lot of RPG elements. But at the same time, some of the games are very open world.
I'll tell you, when I do get my Nintendo Switch, I'll be buying Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I mean, I have that for the Wii U, and I played it when it was released, and it's a fantastic game. But at the same time, it didn't resonate with me, I think, as much as it did with some other people, which I'm kind of surprised about in some ways because, like I said, I really enjoyed Ocarina of Time, and it's very different from that game. But it's, I would say, if anything, I guess it's like the spiritual successor to Twilight Princess, which was I want to say one of the last Zelda games that came out before Breath of the Wild.
Yes, I believe so.
And then you have Wind Waker, too, which was like a complete overhaul. Excuse me.
I tried.
It was totally different in terms of like animations and the way that game looked. It was very, kid-like.
Yeah. I tried that game. And, I think that the kid-like atmosphere just kind of ruined it for me.
Yeah, it's very poppy. It's very, it's like eating a fucking... sugar-coated sugar cookie. Which is like a total oxymoron, but like people will know what I'm saying.
I
exactly
know exactly what you're talking about.
It's a fucking sugary, poppy, childlike, graphical game, but at the same time, it's supposed to be one of the better Zeldas.
Yeah. I don't know. One of these days, I think you and I should just like commit to. We'll start from the beginning. And I'm dragging you into this because, God damn it, I need somebody to help me keep accountable.
Hey, that's fine, man. Drag me in.
We should just like start trying to go through the series and like let's just fucking play them all. And this way, we can't say that we haven't played them.
Sure. I mean, it's going to be a big challenge for us, but
sure.
That's going to be like me whipping you in the back. You're like, come on, Drew, come on, we're almost there. Yeah, I don't like the game.
You're chasing after me on the bicycle.
Yeah, come on. You could do it. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, so that's something after the backlog's a little bit more clear.
Right. Anyway. Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I mentioned Link's Awakening. Like, what's on your radar for something that's popping up?
I mean, for me, like right now, it's Anthem.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything else on my radar at the moment because, like, I'm looking at my shelf and I'm just focused on my backlog, and Anthem is like the hottest thing for me right now. That's new. Everything that I've wanted has been a game that's already been out.
Yeah.
So I really don't have much. I'm closer to getting a Nintendo Switch than I was a couple weeks ago. So I'm thinking maybe March.
Okay.
I'll get one, and like that's gonna be tough because like I kind of want that to be like my little indie machine, but sure. I know there's some A+ titles on there that I need to get to. Like I'm not even a Smash fan, but I feel like I have to buy Smash.
Yeah, it's like a obligatory purchase.
Yeah. I think the Final Fantasy games are starting to come out on the various consoles too, the re-releases. So that's sort of tempting, but I already own them all on PlayStation, so
Yeah, that's a pill that's hard to swallow, because
And then everybody's talking about Kingdom Hearts. Well, everybody talked about it for a week anyway, and then nobody's talking about it now.
Oh yeah, it's amazing how that happens sometimes. Like, I mean, that's a huge franchise, and it just kind of went on the radar, and then bloop, just fucking went right off, and now no one's really saying too much about it.
Well, I think with people that are into Kingdom Hearts, the hype level is really, really up there, and the game gets released, and then we just don't hear from them because they're playing the game. But I've never played a Kingdom Hearts game, so I can't really vouch for it. I would like to sit down and spend some time with at least the first one. One of these days, I'll probably fire it up. I do have a copy on the... I think I have it on the PS2 and the PS3. So
okay.
There was Squaresoft does Black Friday sales, and they press their own games. So you can go on the Squaresoft store and you can buy PlayStation 1 games.
That's cool.
They'll do a Black Friday sale, so you can get these games for $5-10. So I picked up a couple older titles. I got Chrono Cross through them.
Sure.
I think there were a couple Final Fantasy games that I was missing at the time. I went and completed those. And I don't know if you remember, the PlayStation 1 games used to have the black bottom to them.
Oh, yeah.
These do not. These are silver bottoms, so that's how you can tell whether or not it's an original pressing or a repress. But it's
that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of times I'll see in either on Reddit or collectors forums and stuff, people say, "Hey, man, I got these Final Fantasy games, but they're silver bottom. What's the deal?" Well, they came from Square. They're represses. They're not the originals. The coloring in the manual might be a little off. The green for the greatest hit stripe might be a little bit brighter than a regular one.
Sure.
Minor details, but
yeah, no, I think that we had mentioned before that it's still really cool that you can play PS1 games on the PS3.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Physical copies, that's kind of saying a lot. I mean, I know that they took away the PS2 feature from the later iterations of the console, but hey,
that was a mistake, I feel.
The launch PS3 had some issues. I mean, that it had I think they used to call it the yellow light of death, so it had something very similar to the red ring of death, except it was just something that was more exclusive to that. But I had a fat PS3 and it lasted years, and eventually I think it did actually have some issues. It might have actually had the yellow light of death. I can't remember now.
I bought my fat PS3 from a coworker. I think I spent less than $100 on it. And this is when the system was... This is before the PlayStation 4 came out. So he gave me a really good deal. I've had to replace a disk drive on it. That cost me $100. I wasn't comfortable cracking it open myself at the time. Now it'd be fuck it, give me a screwdriver.
Yeah.
But...
It's funny how when that system launched, it was $3,200.
I know, it's absurd. I remember my buddy Dave going to wait in line for it, and I think he spent I think he bought two of them. He had a pre-order in two different places. He bought one for $600, and then he kept the other one and spun it around on eBay, and I think he made a profit.
Oh yeah,
those
things were very sought after.
And I think about when I got my Xbox 360, I had put in a pre-order for it, and I was a little late to the party on the pre-order, but I still pre-ordered, and I still had to wait 4 months before I was able to get mine.
Right.
It doesn't seem like that's an issue anymore.
No, definitely not. I think that the best iteration of the PS3 was the original Slim, not the latest Slim, but the first Slim, was basically just a shrunken down version of the Fat. And It still had that sort of insertable disk drive where you just kind of pop the disk in and it sucked it in.
Yep.
So that was my favorite version. And then the one that I have now, I fucking hate it.
That's the top loader, right?
It's the top loader. It's plasticky as shit. It basically feels like it's made by KB Toys. You got to take an air duster to these weird grooves to get the dust out. It gets the job done, but I think true gamers like us, we appreciate the aesthetics of how a console looks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not crazy about the shape of the system. Like, I really, considering there's no vents on it, I wish I could put shit on top of it. But, like, the fat PS3 had a look, it had an aesthetic to it. It was just...
It did.
It was
a
very
sharp-looking console.
It reminded me of fucking Monolith from 2001. You know? Like, I'm waiting for, like, fucking primates jumping around, hitting the thing with bones.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. What an awesome comparison. I happen to absolutely... love that movie.
Yeah, it's a tremendous film.
I still find it to be such a mysterious movie, and there are so many theories about what the monolith is supposed to be. It's such an incredible thing that Kubrick was able to do, and one of the latest theories I read that the monolith is basically a phone. It's basically representing that our future is going to be a black screen, and I thought that it was quite an interesting theory.
That is fucking scary.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like, sure, maybe it's an outlandish statement, but at the same time, it's just this black, rectangular, thing, and you can't tell if it's supposed to be a screen or, like, I've read so many theories about it, but without going off on a rant, that movie is brilliant. So people listening, please watch that movie.
I'm looking at, I have my phone on like a phone stand right now, and it looks like a fucking monolith.
Yeah, man.
Boy,
it's like the suitcase in Pulp Fiction. You don't know what the fuck's in it.
Yeah. What's in the box?
Yeah.
I know I'm mixing movies here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. What else is on your radar? You got anything else? Or?
Yeah, there's a couple things. It wasn't really something that's been on my radar for forever. I mean, I had a game called Bloodstained Ritual of the Night that I actually heard about through one of my favorite YouTubers. And he's big into Vanillaware games. Now, Vanillaware makes games like Dragon's Crown, and I think they did Odin Sphere. So they specialize in very sort of cartoony, fluffy kind of graphics and art. And I believe that they are involved with Bloodstained. I'm not entirely sure, but it's very similar to that art style. And I don't know much about the game, but I'm usually attracted to games that are... very sort of fantasy-like and have like I don't know how to describe it. There are just certain games like Child of Light and games that are very artsy, and you take Grease, for example. This game kind of reminds me of that sort of genre.
This is based off of a Kickstarter.
Yeah, actually, come to think of it, it is. So it's been in development for quite some time, and I believe it's finally coming out this year. But again, I don't know much about it. I think it has kind of a Castlevania theme to it, as far as I know. But it just looks cool, like it's just one of those games that, sometimes, pops up on my radar, and I'm like, oh, it's a cool looking game. Like, let me just kind of add that to the list and keep an eye on it.
What system would you buy it on?
What is it available on?
As far as I can tell, it's coming out on everything. Let me see if I can confirm that, but... Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and I think the Kickstarter said they were going to put it on other platforms too. Let me see.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I guess it's not on other platforms. Just Windows, Switch, PS4, Xbox One.
Okay. I would say probably PS4. I think with most games, that's kind of my go-to thing. But
see, like for me, like this kind of a game, if this is like a Metroidvania type game, I would say the Switch would be the way to go.
Well, I agree. I think that for me, it's been hard to decide what games I'm going to buy on the Switch, and I think that lately I've been trying to just kind of have exclusive games for the Switch, just so I can make it a little bit more worthwhile and more exclusive in that sense, where I could be like, all right, this game is only for the Switch, and that's why I have the Switch, and that kind of philosophy. So I think that's why I'm also kind of excited for another game, which is called Astral Chain, which is also by Platinum Games, and I watched a trailer. I don't really understand what the game's about, but it just looks fun. It's got that snappy, control mechanisms and mechanics, and it just looks fun. It looks like very outlandish and kind of nuts, and that's what they specialize in. And
is it all cell shaded?
I don't know, but I like cell shading.
I'm looking at some images of it, and I don't know if it's gameplay or cutscenes, but it looks very cell shaded.
Yeah, it's just they have such a flashy look with their games, and I think that when I saw this also on Twitter, it was just something that I kind of stumbled across. It was actually linked to the Platinum Games Twitter account, which I follow. So I think they were the ones that tweeted it, and I was like, oh, another Platinum Games game. Let me check this out. And like I said, just watch the trailer. I noticed that it was for the Switch. I think it's only for the Switch. So that gives me another incentive to just kind of, keep that as a part of my console collection.
Yeah, man. Interesting. Looks very interesting. I wasn't sure what to expect with this. I'm still not sure what to expect.
Yeah, I have no fucking idea, but I don't even really care. I like what they produce. I like what they put out. And, besides that, it kind of falls back to the other two games that I mentioned on a previous episode, and that would be Ghost of Tsushima and Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
It's so cool, like, when you have a developer that you just know whatever they put out you're going to want.
Yeah. Like they really won my heart, and I think it was I want to say it was Bayonetta. It was actually the first time that I had experienced a Platinum Games game, and that was enough to sell me. I was like, man, I love the way this game is, controls. I love the way it plays, and I was able to get an idea of how their games feel.
Yeah. Bayonetta was another one of those games that came out for free on Xbox Live. I just never got around to popping it in. I really want to check it out, though.
Yeah,
so I need to make some time for that one. Definitely need to make some time for it.
Yeah, and I think that, making time for it's important, but at the same time, most Platinum games are something that you can usually find out if you're going to like it within the first, 15, 20 minutes. So
That's good.
It's not like Bayonetta is going to be like a game that you really have to sink your teeth into to kind of understand if it's right for you. Because their feeling and the gameplay that they're able to kind of develop and capture is something that you're gonna either hate or love. I don't think it's gonna be anything in the middle.
And that's something that you think I'll know within the first 20 minutes.
I would say so because without spoiling anything, most of their games kind of throw you right into the heart of the action pretty quickly. Especially Bayonetta 1. Like as soon as that game opens, you are already controlling her. It's got one of those sort of opening sequences where you have control over a cutscene, if you will. So immediately you're like, okay, I fucking hate this because there's too much going on, or I love the way that this game just feels very punchy and, I really like the visuals. So
cool. Yeah,
you should be fine.
Excellent. Well, man, we've been chatting for about an hour and a half.
Oh, halfway. Wow.
Yeah, We were definitely given a longer episode this week. I know we've had a lot to talk about. It's been really awesome catching up with you again, man, and talking about games. I'm glad we're both back.
Likewise, man. I think that going into this hour and a half just proves that we needed to kind of get back in the hot seat. Like I said, we needed to get back to our fans and get back to just commiserating and conversing about what we love the most.
Yeah, man. So, and thank you to everybody who's been a part of this ride so far. Thank you for putting up with us for the past 2 weeks.
Yes.
I mentioned it very briefly at the beginning of the episode, but we have an awesome community of listeners over on Discord. Be sure to check it out if you are a Discord fan or you just want to get in touch with us and just chat. The link will be in the show notes. Unfortunately, it's not one of those fancy links, very easy to remember. It's a bunch of gibberish, but check it out. We have some really great discussion going on here. We have people from all over the United States that are gamers and into different things. And, I'm really, really happy with the community that we've built so far, and we're looking to make it grow. So please come on by, say hello.
Absolutely, man. I think that, you've done a great job really expanding the rooms as well, creating things like Mailbox and episode discussion, in real life picks and chit chat. It's really taking off fast, and I think that at this point for us, it's our new hub. It's our new place that we can kind of go, and we're finding ourselves a little less on Facebook and Instagram. We're not going anywhere there, but this is kind of our new home base.
Yeah, and it's a good way for people to kind of jump, as they're listening to the show. We've gotten people chiming in on stuff in the chat room, in the episode discussion chat, hey man, well, this is the Zelda that I think is the best, or whatever the case is, or maybe they'll shun me for not liking Zelda in the first place. I've gotten a lot of shit in these rooms already, so
yeah, no, it's amazing, man. It's incredible to go in there after say working all day and see that there's like a mile's worth of conversation in there to go through. It's really cool to see that.
Yeah, it is. So I'm very, very proud of the community, and I'm very happy to have everybody on board. And we'd love to have you on board too if you're not already. So check that out. If you'd like to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at WDGRPodcast, or hit us up on our main hub, WDGRPodcast.libsyn.com. That's where all of our shows are available for download. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, TuneIn, Stitcher Radio, anywhere you download your podcasts, we have our show available for you. Will, if somebody would like to reach out to you through social media, how can they do so?
Will_gear.
If you'd like to hit me up, you can do so at ScionStorm. And I don't know what else to say. It's good to be back.
Yeah, I think that's the theme of this. We're glad to be back. Stick with us. Thank you for sticking with us. We're not going anywhere. We went somewhere and now we're back. So we're ready to, pump out some more episodes, and we have a lot to talk about this year. So I think Drew and I are really looking forward to having more guests on. We're going to talk about some pretty controversial things this year, and it's going to be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. So thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Take care.